One night, a voice broke the silence of Israel. A boy heard his name spoken in the dark. The lamplight flickered softly. The Ark of the Covenant rested nearby, glowing faintly in the shadows. Samuel was alone, young, uncertain. 3 times he ran to his master, his bare feet padding across the stone floor. Each time, breathless, he stood before Eli. Each time, he heard the same words, "I didn't call you." The 4th time, he understood. This was not a human voice. It was God. And the message Samuel received that night would shake a priesthood and change a nation forever. But to understand that night, we must go back. Back to a time when Israel was dying, not from war, but from silence. God had stopped speaking. Visions were rare, prophets were few, leaders were corrupt. The nation drifted, morally and spiritually, without direction or hope. The priests went through the motions. The people offered sacrifices. But the heart of worship had gone cold. Until a barren woman made a vow that would break the silence forever. In the hill country of Ephraim, there lived a man named Elkanah. He had 2 wives. One, Peninnah, had children, many children. Her house was full of laughter, full of life. The other, Hannah, had none. Year after year, she endured scorn and grief. Peninnah's words cut deep. Every gathering, every festival, every trip to the Tabernacle became a reminder of what Hannah didn't have. She wept quietly at home, staring at empty rooms that should have been filled with small voices. She wept loudly at the temple, her heart breaking under the weight of unanswered prayers. And then, one year, something changed. Hannah walked into the house of the Lord at Shiloh. The air was thick with incense. Worshippers moved around her, but she didn't see them. She knelt, she closed her eyes, and she poured out her soul to God. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Her prayer was silent, too deep, too personal for words spoken aloud. Tears streamed down her face, her body trembled. She wasn't asking politely, she was pleading, bargaining, desperate. Eli, the priest, sat watching near the doorpost of the temple. He was old now, tired. His eyes, dim with age, observed her swaying form. He frowned. "How long will you keep on getting drunk?" he said. "Put away your wine." Hannah lifted her head. Her voice was soft but steady. "Not so, my lord," she said. "I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord." Eli paused. He saw it now, the sincerity, the pain, the faith. "Go in peace," he said gently, "and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." And he did. In time, Hannah bore a son. She cradled him in her arms and whispered his name for the first time. Samuel, heard by God. She didn't take him to Shiloh right away. She nursed him, she sang to him. She watched him grow, knowing every day brought her closer to the moment she would have to let him go. True to her vow, when Samuel was old enough, still just a small boy, she brought him back to the tabernacle. She placed his hand in Eli's and said, "I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord." Then she walked away. But here's what's remarkable about this moment. Hannah didn't know she was praying for Israel's future. She thought she was just praying for a child, a son to call her own, a name to carry forward. She had no idea that the boy she gave back to God would become the voice of a generation. Samuel grew up in the presence of God. He wore a linen ephod. He served at the altar. He learned the rhythms of worship, the songs, the prayers. Every year, his mother came to visit and brought him a new robe she had made with her own hands. But darkness lingered in that holy place. Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were corrupt priests. They wore the robes, they performed the rituals, but their hearts were far from God. They stole offerings meant for the Lord. They took the best portions of meat for themselves before the fat was even burned. They abused their authority. They treated the Lord's presence with contempt. The people saw it. They were disgusted, but no one stopped them. Eli knew. He confronted his sons with words, but words were all he gave. He did not remove them. He did not discipline them. He was a father who couldn't say no. And God was watching. One night, God spoke to Samuel, still a boy. The voice was clear, unmistakable. "Samuel." He woke, startled, and ran to Eli. "Here I am," he said. "You called me." Eli looked up, confused. "I did not call. Go back and lie down." It happened again, and again. The third time, Eli understood. His old eyes widened. After all these years of silence, God was speaking again, but not to him, to the boy. "Go and lie down," Eli said quietly. "And if he calls you, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" Samuel returned to his mat. His heart pounded in his chest. The room was still. Then the voice came again. "Samuel, Samuel." And this time, the boy answered. What God said next was not gentle. It was not comforting. It was judgment. "I am about to do something in Israel that will make the ears of everyone who hears about it tingle. I will carry out against Eli everything I spoke against his family, from beginning to end." He knew his sons were blaspheming God, and he failed to restrain them. Therefore, the guilt of Eli's house will never be atoned for. Samuel lay there in the dark, wide awake, afraid. He was just a boy. How could he tell Eli this? By morning, Samuel opened the doors of the house of the Lord as usual. But he avoided Eli. He kept his head down. He said nothing. But Eli called him. "Samuel, my son." "Here I am," Samuel replied. "What did he say to you?" Eli asked. "Do not hide it from me." So Samuel told him everything, every word, unflinching. And Eli, old and broken, simply said, "He is the Lord. Let him do what is good in his eyes." Think about this for a second. God chose to speak to a child, not the high priest, not a seasoned warrior, not a prophet with decades of training. A boy, sleeping by a lamp. Why? Because God doesn't choose based on resume. He chooses based on readiness, on willingness to listen, on a heart that says, "Speak, Lord, I'm listening." Samuel would grow to become Israel's first prophet in generations, the one who would bridge the judges and the kings, the voice that would not be silenced. But Israel, in its arrogance, was not yet ready to listen. War broke out with the Philistines. Israel was defeated in the first battle. 4,000 men fell. The elders gathered, shaken and confused. "Why did the Lord bring defeat on us today?" they asked. And then someone had an idea. A terrible, misguided idea. "Let us bring the Ark of the Covenant from Shiloh. If we carry it into battle, it will save us from our enemies." So they sent for the Ark. When it arrived in the camp, the soldiers shouted so loudly the ground shook. They believed victory was guaranteed now. God was with them, or so they thought. But God is not a weapon. He cannot be controlled. He cannot be manipulated. The battle came, and it failed spectacularly. 30,000 Israelite soldiers fell that day. The ark was captured. Hophni and Phinehas were both killed in the fighting. A messenger ran to Shiloh, bloodied, breathless. He tore his clothes and put dust on his head, the sign of disaster. When he entered the city, the people cried out. Eli, now 98 years old and blind, sat by the road, waiting. His heart trembled for the ark. "What happened, my son?" Eli asked. The man spoke quickly. "Israel fled before the Philistines. The army has suffered heavy losses. Your 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead." Eli sat still, silent. Then the messenger said the worst part. "And the ark of God has been captured." When Eli heard this, he fell backward off his chair. His neck broke, and he died. He had led Israel for 40 years, but in the end, his weakness had cost him everything. Even the Philistines learned the hard way. God cannot be controlled. They took the ark to Ashdod and placed it in the temple of their god, Dagon. The next morning, Dagon had fallen on his face before the ark. They set him back up. The next day, Dagon's head and hands were broken off. Then plagues broke out. Tumors, panic, death. City after city begged to be rid of the ark. Finally, in fear, the Philistines returned it to Israel on a cart pulled by cows, along with a guilt offering of gold. The ark came home, but the glory had not. Israel needed a leader, a voice, someone who could call them back. And Samuel rose. Samuel became the spiritual leader Israel desperately needed. He traveled from town to town, Bethel, Gilgal, Mizpah, Ramah. Everywhere he went, he judged the people with fairness and integrity. He taught them the law. He reminded them of who God was. And one day, he gathered them all at Mizpah. "If you are returning to the Lord with all your hearts," Samuel said, "then rid yourselves of the foreign gods and the Ashtoreths. Commit yourselves to the Lord and serve Him only." The people listened. They put away their idols. They fasted. They confessed.
People of Israel,
"We have sinned against the Lord," they said. But while they were gathered, the Philistines heard. And they saw an opportunity. They mobilized their army and marched toward Mizpah. The Israelites were terrified. "Do not stop crying out to the Lord our God for us," they begged Samuel. Samuel took a young lamb and sacrificed it as a burnt offering. And as the Philistines drew near, Samuel cried out to the Lord. And the Lord answered. Thunder rolled across the sky, loud, violent, shaking the earth. The Philistines were thrown into confusion. They panicked. They fled. Israel pursued and struck them down. Samuel took a stone and set it up as a memorial. "Thus far the Lord has helped us," he said. He called it Ebenezer, the stone of help. Peace returned to Israel. For years there was rest. Samuel judged faithfully. The people followed God. But it would not last. Samuel grew old. His hair turned gray. His steps slowed. He could no longer travel as he once did. So he appointed his sons as judges over Israel. But his sons were not like him. They were corrupt. They accepted bribes. They perverted justice. They cared more about money than righteousness. The people saw it, and they were done. The elders of Israel gathered and came to Samuel at Ramah. "You are old," they said, "and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." The words cut deep. Samuel was displeased, hurt. He had given his life to serve them, and now they wanted someone else. He prayed, and the Lord said something Samuel didn't expect. "Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king." Still, God allowed it. But he told Samuel to warn them, clearly, painfully. So Samuel stood before the people and laid it out. "This is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and give them to his attendants. He will take a tenth of your grain and flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you." The people refused to listen. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations." So God chose Saul, tall, handsome, impressive, from the tribe of Benjamin. Samuel anointed him privately. Oil ran down Saul's head. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. At first, Saul was humble. When they came to crown him publicly, he was hiding among the baggage. Samuel presented him to the people. "Do you see the man the Lord has chosen?" Samuel shouted. "There is no one like him among all the people." And the people shouted, "Long live the king!" Saul initially appeared humble, grateful, obedient. But pride is a slow poison. It started small: impatience, presumption, a need to be seen as strong. Before a battle, Samuel told Saul to wait 7 days for him to come and offer sacrifices. But the Philistines were gathering. The people were scattering in fear. Saul grew anxious. On the 7th day, just before Samuel arrived, Saul offered the burnt offering himself. He was not a priest. He had no authority to do this. Samuel arrived moments later. "What have you done?" Samuel demanded. Saul made excuses. "The people were scattering. You didn't come. The Philistines were assembling. I felt compelled to offer the sacrifice." Samuel's voice was steady, cold. "You have done a foolish thing. You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. If you had, he would have established his kingdom over Israel for all time. But now, your kingdom will not endure." Saul didn't understand. Not yet. Then came the final test. God commanded Saul to completely destroy the Amalekites. Everything. Every person, every animal. A holy judgment for their past sins against Israel. Saul attacked. He won the battle. But he spared Agag, the king, and he kept the best of the sheep and cattle. When Samuel came, Saul greeted him with confidence. "The Lord bless you," Saul said. "I have carried out the Lord's instructions." Samuel stopped, listened. "Then what is this bleating of sheep in my ears?" Samuel asked. "What is this lowing of cattle that I hear?" Saul scrambled for an answer. "The soldiers brought them to sacrifice to the Lord your God." Samuel raised his hand. Enough. He stepped closer. His voice rang with authority. "Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. Saul's face went pale. "I have sinned," he said. "I violated the Lord's command because I was afraid of the men, and so I gave in to them." But it was too late. God had rejected Saul. The kingdom would pass to another. Samuel turned to leave. Saul grabbed his robe. It tore. Samuel looked down at the torn fabric. "The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today, and has given it to one of your neighbors, to one better than you." Samuel never saw Saul again, but he mourned for him deeply. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you mourn for Saul, since I have rejected him? Fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king." Samuel obeyed. He arrived in Bethlehem. Jesse brought his sons before him, one by one. Eliab came first. Tall, strong, handsome. Samuel thought, "Surely the Lord's anointed stands here." But the Lord said, "Do not consider his appearance or his height. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." One by one, 7 sons passed before Samuel, and one by one, the Lord said no. "Are these all the sons you have?" Samuel asked. Jesse hesitated. "There is still the youngest, but he is tending the sheep." "Send for him," Samuel said. They waited. Finally, a young man entered. Ruddy, bright eyes, handsome. David. And the Lord said, "Rise and anoint him. This is the one." Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed David in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. Samuel's public role began to fade, but his legacy endured. And this is where Samuel's story ends, but another begins. David's journey was only starting. Samuel lived to see kings rise and fall. He bridged eras, judges, prophets, and kings. He was not perfect, but he was faithful. His life teaches us something we desperately need today. God still speaks. Not always to the obvious choice, not always in the obvious way, not always when we expect it. But he speaks. He spoke to a barren woman in her grief. He spoke to a boy in the dark. He spoke through a prophet who had the courage to say hard things. The question is not whether God is speaking. The question is, are we listening? If this story resonated with you, I want to hear from you. Comment below. Which matters more right now in your life? Getting it right or staying faithful? And if you want to hear what happens next, the rise of King David, the fall of kingdoms, the Psalms born from a shepherd's heart, let me know. Because Samuel's story, it's just the beginning.